9:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. Pastor, you want to lead us in an invocation?
No.
Does this work?
I don't think it works.
It does not work. Okay, we'll talk about it. Let's pray together. Father in heaven, I thank you this morning for the kindness you've shown Madison County in preserving our county. We woke up this morning and the sun still shone, the birds still sang, our community still alive. That's all from you. If you didn't sustain our community, if you did not hold it together, as you do all things, together, we would have but nothing. We would cease to exist. Your word tells us that every good and perfect gift is from you, coming down from the Father of lights. Thank you. We thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, the greatest gift of all, the perfect Savior, who gave himself to a cross to bear your righteous wrath towards sin in the place of ruined sinners. We thank you that the secured salvation for your people has been accomplished by the death of your Son, and that the free gift of that salvation is offered to all people, even those in this room, if they but confess their sin and their great need for Jesus the Savior, repenting and believing upon Christ. Indeed, Jesus Christ is both Savior and Lord. He is Lord of lords and King of kings. There is no higher authority. There is no one greater than him. All will bow the knee to your Son, Jesus, and repent of their sins, or they will enter into everlasting judgment. Your word tells us that blessed is the man who turns to the Lord Jesus Christ and obeys his words, and cursed is the man who does not. You are sovereign and supreme over these supervisors. You are Lord and King and Master over this meeting. You are Master over these decisions that these men and women will now make. May they govern and wield their authority as those themselves under authority. May they govern and wield the authority that you have delegated to them with fear and trembling, as they remember that Jesus is Lord and they are not. Cause them to remember that they are but mere deacons, servants of Christ Jesus. May they govern accordingly. We pray your face would shine upon these meetings, and that the hearts involved would be humble and concerned with the truth. Please help these dear supervisors for your name's sake and for the glory of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. Have a roll call, please.
Liston.
Here.
Fitch. Here. Stansel. Here.
All present. Kind of a new, revised agenda. So the first item is to review the agenda before we move on with business. I guess we'll start with the items that might be on the consent agenda. If anybody has any questions or comments on any of those. I did notice a couple things. Amanda, there's $15,000 in postage and a website. You guys are starting your own website, and why is that?
That is because I don't feel that, I mean, I know the website isn't a top priority for IT right now, but unfortunately that is like where most of our information is, and that is how people are going to get it. Excuse me. So that I feel like our website is lacking. I tried working with Solutions, and it didn't work. I started in December, but I had the funds in the budget, and so I reached out to a few different people, and
How much postage do you guys use on a regular basis? About 15 grand in postage.
I just put that on there because I have it in the budget to cover.
Well, if you didn't spend it, it would go into the help the fund balance in the entire county. So. Anyway, I think that I just.
And the 15,000 for your website, can't you?
No, 5.
5.
And that includes them creating it, and then the lease then for a whole year.
So the postage funds, has it been spent already, or that's just?
No, I put it on there because I'm gonna send out a bunch of tax notices
Okay.
and
How much postage you typically spend a year?
in a year, well, I mean, we're spending close to like 2,000 in a month, if not more.
And we had more tax sales this year than we did last year, quite a bit more.
Yeah.
All right, anything else under the receive and file items? Got a couple of public hearings this morning, they look fairly straightforward to me, Ryan. A lot of end of the fiscal year stuff on here. Got wage increases for the ambulance. Brady, I did have a question on the first write-off, because there's 5 write-offs for people with receipts, that one was a little bit different. Walk me
Yeah,
through
that one was, they're a Medicaid patient. The patient refused to sign the, it's called an ABN, which is a non-emergent transport form that says that you'll be willing to pay if Medicaid doesn't pay. He flat refused to sign it, but we can't not take him to the hospital because that's abandonment, that's a
Right.
federal crime.
Right.
So,
And Medicaid did not pay it?
not a chance. So, that's, most of the time we get the ABN forms, most patients are happy to sign them. This gentleman just would not.
Brady, you need to address, A, you wanna address that? That we just need to strike?
Oh, yeah, I had, the last one there on that list, turned in a resignation this morning, so we don't
Oh,
need
so
to,
Perry?
yeah, so we will need to, probably open it back up to fill that spot, but as of right now, just strike that off.
All right, and do the ambulance personnel handbook, mostly just a cleanup.
Yeah, there was no major changes.
We've got the agreement between county and AFSCME, which we worked through several months ago, it's just kind of finalizing that. Mike, do you have anything to add on that?
No.
We have a VPN for county employees and a VPN for Heather. Sure, those are separate, you know?
Why do you,
That's an odd date, there's usually, can you explain that?
Because you have to recuse yourself from the vote for your.
Oh,
Oh.
that makes sense.
Thank you.
and
We
why do
won't
you
consider
need,
them together then.
why do you need VPN? I called up my other county supervisors don't have VPN.
Because in order for me to work remotely and access files on our server, you need a VPN.
Yeah, but I can do everything from home, I don't need
Yeah, if there's a file that's on a that's on the server. you
That's
can
on the
access
server, you
it.
can't. You can access your email, but if I needed something like looking at an old agenda, looking at minutes or resolutions, I need a VPN and it gets to the server.
Okay, budget appropriations is basically just saying that departments can spend the budget that we created for FY '25. Approving changes to the Board of Supervisors meeting rules and procedures. Any comments or thoughts?
It was,
Took me a lot of pages to get down to that. There's a lot
Lot
of
of
lengthy
stuff.
documents in that receive and file.
Did you find you had
portion.
to do a lot of changes?
200.
I did not, it just, basically what it does is it changes the date, or the time that we're doing it. And, I don't know if discussion now or later, but we need to firm up the time of submission of, items for the agenda.
Okay.
Because the agenda did not get out on a timely manner because of accepting late. So we're gonna really follow the procedure.
We need to be
That's
strict.
in,
Yes.
what's already built in there.
Yes.
So it will go to Phil as according to the procedure, or the chair, before it's allowed on the agenda after 4 o'clock on Thursdays. That makes sense.
So if there's like an emergency or an urgent one, then it's up to the chair to determine.
According to this policy that's been in place since 2019.
Okay.
Okay. approving salary and wage adjustments for non-union and union employees effective July 1. Again, that's standard fiscal year. And approving salary and wage increases. Non-union, okay, the treasurer's office effective July 1 of 24. Credit card charge account policy, that's basically a review of that, is that correct?
I would say I would not approve it if you, have not reviewed it as it was submitted in the packet. That's the.
No, I-
table it,
It's
so.
okay.
Okay, good.
Setting a public hearing date to amend the ordinance 50 regarding solar systems. Setting that at our next meeting.
We go on,
And then Aaron, you'll have a draft for us soon. Okay, then we approve ordinance 60, which we've read 3 times. Wage adjustment.
I do have a question on that. On page 4, number 3, it says you must reside in Madison County. For how long before you can get all these grant assistance? How long do you have to reside here?
We've never had a time period for,
Do you need a time period?
I don't know if we can restrict that for general assistance.
Just a question.
Mike, tell us about the modifications to the 5-year plan.
I would love to. This is actually a good thing. We submitted an application for congressional grant money, and we received it. We received it for a project that was going to be known as the Bennington White Park Bridge Replacement Project. It's in a 5-year program. It's a federal aid money earmarked for Madison County. It actually went through Congress and signed by the president. It was an interesting process.
Okay, a big deal.
So in my 36 years of being in the secondary road department, either in this county or another county, that's kind of unheard of. I mean, you don't get this very often. So very excited to do that. Now, the reason we have to modify the 5-year program is because we did not receive.
Yep, I told her.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry.
So will they replace the whole bridge?
Yes.
How
We
much? The whole thing?
received 1.5 million. It's going to be around 2.5 million.
Oh, so-
But we combine it with other federal aid money, so there won't be any local tax money go towards that. So that's all outside, which is basically gives us an opportunity to spend money on other bridge projects. So it's a good thing. The reason we have to modify the 5-year program, it's not in the accomplishment year, it's in the prior years, and to line up the funding with, the planning has to be. So that's why we see that. No, that's
Which
good.
bridge was it again?
This is
Bennington?
Bennington White Park.
It's the one closest to.
The Iron
Bennington?
Trust.
The one you can see from my,
Yeah.
Yeah, closest.
It's still a ways out. We're in the preliminary design phase. We still have ways to go, but
What happens to the Iron Trust Bridge?
generally they have little use because it's a product that was built with steel that is, we use the term fracture critical. It's like if you take a paper clip and you bend it back and forth several times, sooner or later it snaps. That's kind of that design era, so it will be probably more than likely turned over to the contractor. He will probably scrap it. There's not much value. It can't really be used for fixing it, or I would not recommend doing it.
not even for a walk bridge.
I wouldn't.
Really, that's correct?
you like start lifting that stuff up, and then you're really.
It's a time where steel was made, it becomes brittle, more of a iron, ferrous base compared to some of the modern steels.
How old is it?
I don't know exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, older than me.
Older than anyone in this
Older than
me.
Okay.
Most of these structures are like that. I would say, well, if it's comparable to the rest of that route, those structures, it was built around between the 1920s and 1930s. Served pretty good.
So Mike, that other bridge that somebody wants to purchase, you know, the one,
Uh-huh.
why
Same,
is
it's got the same issues.
same issues?
Okay, we got longevity wage increases for secondary roads employees. Wage increases for non-union employees. Wage increases per union contract. Does anyone care if we take those 3 wage agreements for secondary roads and consider them together?
I'm okay with
I'm
that.
fine with that.
So you want U, V, and W
U, V,
together?
and W
Sure.
together. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 temporary road closures. Anything noteworthy on those?
Half are done or half are still being worked on.
I'd like to consider those together as well.
Which ones?
X, Y,
Y,
Z,
Z.
and AA.
Okay,
Treasurer's resolution approving wage adjustments for Mariah Bowman, effective September 15th, and approving wage adjustment for Kelly Barber for November 15th. Amanda, tell us how we got crosswise on these.
Well, I can't answer that for you because the resolution that I submitted to you guys for the last meeting, and the one that was in the board packet is not the one that got signed. So I don't know how it got changed and I don't know who did it. But that's not the one I submitted. And that's not, and it was incorrect. And I was not notified at all. Shelley is actually the one that discovered it and sent that email to you guys, I believe, after the meeting. And so,
I think HR and our labor attorneys were working on that, so I'd like the 3 of you to work together on that, I guess. So this cleans that all up. Kelly, are you on the phone?
Kelly's on training.
Oh, all right. Okay. Appointing Angie to first auto deputy. Anything to share on that one? Then we've got the plats for the hearings that we have. Everything else on here looks pretty straightforward. We're gonna go back up and start taking action.
Yep.
All right. Aaron, is that how you envisioned this working?
When we went through it the first time, I would keep it to just, like, is there any discussion, is there not, and then hold the actual discussion when we get to that.
Okay.
So should we just maybe skip this and just go right into the meeting?
We can.
Well, that's kind of what I'm almost feeling like. We kind of almost got most of these issues to the point of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but unless there's something,
So for issues like, can we consider these together? Like, I think that would be a good, just run through, like, with what's our organization gonna be, and then have the discussion when we get there.
okay, I agree. That makes, I almost went ahead and started approving stuff further down here because it almost seemed like we were done with it. All right. Okay, we'll figure this out. Okay, we're back to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So, I'll second.
Motion by Heather, second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we're going to enter into a public hearing. Can I have a motion to enter into a public hearing for the replat of Frame subdivision, minor subdivision?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are in a public hearing at 9:49. Ryan, everything published as required?
Yeah,
And you've received any comments with us?
I have not with this one,
Okay.
So in January, we approved the original plat for Frame subdivision. I think it was 19.55 acres. In essence, what they're trying to do here with this is create a little bit better building envelope for lot 2, increasing a little bit of size to the northeast there, and then they're gonna remove what I've shown on your provided plats, the red portion from Frame subdivision.
So
which-
does that make that 2271, it adds more to that one?
It adds, additional acreage to, it's almost kind of a wash, for lot 2.
It's like lot 3 gets a little bit smaller.
And lot 3 gets a little smaller. So total acreage of this replat is 18.3, so it's like 1.25 acres smaller than the original plat.
That was pretty straightforward. Anyone wish to comment on this one?
Is there a reason why is there,
Because lot 2 wasn't easy to build, hopefully, so.
It just looks cleaner.
It makes it-
other than that?
Not really, that was really their
That was one
purpose.
reason.
Yeah.
Just make it simpler.
Yep.
Make for a better building site.
Yep.
All right, anyone here wish to comment on this hearing? If not, can I have a motion to exit this hearing?
So moved.
Look at that one to Diane, second to Heather. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Next one is Timber Creek Estates hearing. Can I have a motion to enter into that hearing? Motion by Heather, is there a second? Second by Diane. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. We are hearing at 9:51. Brian, everything's been published as required,
Yes,
and you shared all comments with us?
I have. Latest one was this morning, I had one email me overnight that I wanted to include.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Okay, Timber Creek Estates, 4 lots. Becky Knight Realty LLC is the applicant property owner. Acreage is 40 acres, number of lots is 4. Current legal use, current parcel contains no building structures. Looks like it's been grazed by livestock and portions may have been paid in previous years. Based on aerial imagery, the property parcel has been relatively undisturbed other than livestock grazing. Relevant history, December 15th of 23, Gary and Rebecca Knight purchased this parcel from Donald and Luann Overton's trust for $376,000. On May 15th, 2024, Gary and Rebecca Knight transferred the parcel into Becky Knight Realty LLC. No portion of Timber Creek Estates subdivision is found to be within the FEMA flood zone area. Staff has determined that the CSR2 of this ground is 42.48, which is below the 70 CSR rating called out in the current comprehensive plan. This plat is within 2 miles of the city of St. Charles. Therefore, a resolution was approved on the 21st of May stating that it conforms to the provisions of the ordinances of the city of St. Charles. All driveway aprons abutting 265th Street have been approved by the county engineer. New driveways will be constructed for lots 2, 3, and 4, and driveway for lot 1 is existing and has also been approved by the county engineer's office.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody have any questions for Ryan? Any public comment on this matter?
Is that when we get a chance to talk, or is it?
Pardon?
When do we get-
This is public comment,
Okay.
this hearing. Please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
I'm Becky Knight, I'm the owner of this property. And,
What's your address?
I'm sorry, I'm at home, 3212, 278 Lit, St. Charles, Iowa. Yesterday at 1 o'clock, I received an email, and that's probably what you're referring to about the email later in the evening. It was before I had a public conservation board email was placed in there. And I did not see that prior to this. That was only as of, yesterday at 1 o'clock. And I didn't know it was even coming. I've never notified at any time. I'd just like to state the facts that I have emailed Ryan several times asking if there's anything else I can do, is there any information I need, is there anything, else you need by documentation, and I have not been told of anything I need or anything like that. The point I'd like to make is this. Can I give you a couple things?
Sure. I didn't see anything in that email further on.
Of what you're referring to?
The email from conservation.
Okay. I guess my only point is this, is that the north land that touches this has 280 acres. Larry Young owns it. Has no homes on it. In that letter, it just talks about how, I guess, I see what you're saying, Bill, and maybe I'm overreaching on this situation. The part that alarmed me was that they were trying to keep it wetlands and supposedly some kind of prairie situation going on. And that was their big recommendation on this piece of ground. And that monarchy, butterflies flying around I-35 and this kind of thing, and it all talks about the future comprehensive plan in his letter to, which hasn't been passed by the board, is my understanding, am I correct on that?
It is not.
So I don't know why we're referring to something that's in the future, but it's not even today's ordinances and rules. That's my other point on that. The land next to the south of me is owned by Downs. It has 360 acres, no homes. So I guess my only point I'm trying to make about this is that the habitat is all around this piece for butterflies and anything that may be happening that has no development at all. I've had a water engineer study, I've had all kinds of stuff done from Warren County, there's plenty of water there, that kind of thing. The other thing I'd just like to give you is the amount of money it's cost us to go through the subdivision process. The numbers on the very back page is over $22,000. And the point I'd just like to refer to this is the reason why we're going through this subdivision is because we originally came to Ryan on April 12th and asked him if we could just put one split in this for you, one split. And he told me that we could not put one split, and he would not allow that to happen. He told me that if I'm gonna put a split in it, I need to, according to the zoning, which I sent that email, I'm sure some of you guys got it, he referred to that. And then Mark Smith and the county attorney, they all had a meeting about this. And Ryan, my understanding, was wrong that I could have just put one split. And, is that correct, Ryan?
It's actually 10 minutes during the hearing, but yeah. I don't see anything to really get you worked.
Okay.
Yeah, simple.
If you
plan
just,
here that-
exactly. So I guess I don't need to make you waste time because of any problems about that. I'm only concerned that I didn't have a chance to speak about it before you voted, and somebody else spoke, referring to why I'm doing what I'm doing with this piece of ground. I was only going to put one split in it, then I ended up, if I was going to do it, I was going to do to a minor, because Ryan wouldn't let me just have one split.
So, and help me understand, and maybe you can speak to this too, is what do you mean by one split? You only wanted to split it so
One lot,
there's,
a 15 and a 25.
so you only wanted 2 lots
That's it.
instead of the 4?
That was it.
Okay,
That's not what I had. I heard by numerous buyers that it was gonna be split as the plat is platted, and that if they were gonna do that, why would you do a plat of survey, and they're all gonna be for residential development? Do them all together as one subdivision, not a plat of survey and then 3 additional lots as a subdivision. Do them together.
And that, you heard that from other people, but my goal was to do this year, just do one split in it, see if I could put one buyer in a 15-acre piece, and hopefully another bigger buyer would come for the 25. That was my original goal. My backup plan is this, Ryan. This was my backup plan. That is 100% true. But it wasn't allowed to go to the first plan, because he forced my hand to do this.
All right, okay.
Is there-
Any other comments on this?
Yeah, I have a question. There's a well on this, isn't there? A
Yes.
well? Are you gonna close that, or what?
Okay, so there's an easement to that well, from Larry down, from Larry Young, the back, you know? And so he has an easement to that well right now, just so you know. So I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not, it's a well that he has an easement to in case in the future everyone wants to water cattle. And then all that would be a situation where he'd have to, like, it's very vague, and the easements, and you can talk more about that, but at this point, I'm not allowed to do that. I will tell you, Diane, if he allows me to demolish that easement, which Larry and I are in talks about that, I will more than willing to do that.
is there an issue having a well there?
Well, you have to disclose
I
it as
did.
well. You have to disclose
It's
it.
been disclosed, there's GPS coordinates there, there's everything that Ryan's asking me to do on it, I've done it all.
It would be disclosed because there's an easement though, right?
Yes, that's on there too.
Not always.
If there's an easement to a well, you
So what had happened is there was a groundwater hazard statement filed to begin with. It said no known wells.
Oh.
Well, in the attorney's opinion that was provided by Kyle Weber at Mark Smith's office, there was an easement for a well on there. Well, I put 2 and 2 together, that
If there's
there's
an
a well
easement,
there.
there means there's a well.
It needs to be disclosed on the groundwater hazard statement.
Yeah.
I can't override the fact that she doesn't know that there was a well on her property. So put it on the groundwater hazard statement.
Which we did, we corrected it.
Yeah.
That was a little
I'm just trying to understand, because I don't,
And again, I corrected it, did everything he asked me to do in that situation, and was sent back into him. And again, that well is a situation between me and the neighbor, so it's,
okay,
that's.
so it's resolved now, there's
Yes.
no issue?
Yep.
Okay, I was just asking for clarification, because I didn't know what the rules were regarding
Okay,
wells.
right.
And I had made the assumption if there's an easement, obviously there's a well, and it wasn't, so it makes sense.
As a
What's disclosed on one thing that's disclosed on another thing,
As a
so.
requirement of our subdivision ordinances, a groundwater hazard statement form is required, and that's as accompanying documents. So that's where that's
All
at.
right, well, it sounds like y'all got it fixed, so that's
Looks like
good.
it's all
Okay, thank you.
in order. Any other comments?
I would just know, I don't recall having a meeting about this property, but if there is something.
It was the time we were with Mark Smith about the grain bin, you guys were all together, and he said you, Mark, and Ryan were all together.
It might have been mentioned, but it was not a meeting about this.
Ryan, do you recall it?
I remember discussing the grain bin with Mark, and
My point's just if we needed to cover something. we can-
Okay.
No. This seems pretty straightforward. Okay, is there any other comments? If not, can I have a motion?
Here, I got something to say.
Yeah.
I'm Jim Anderson, I'm at 3356 265th Street. I'm right across from the 40 acres. I bought my house in 1981, and I'd have bought the whole 80 that they had, but Van Gundy had already bought it. He bought that, and he bought a lot of, where Steve Downs lives now. Van Gundy owned most of that ground that Downs owns now. And so he wouldn't just give me the 8. I wanted that place since I was a little kid. I knew Ted Anderson growing up, and he's the one that owned the property. And now I'm gonna have 4 new neighbors. And 4 new driveways, about 3 new driveways, and one right across from mine. If we back out at the same time, we'll hit each other. But I don't want that developed, because I've been there for 43 years with no neighbors. Now all of a sudden I'm in here. And down the road from me, there's been 5 or 6 new houses built, so if I count the roads, the houses that's right on the end of County Line Road, there's 3 there. And so all the people come down my road. And the traffic is double. And I can attest that they have done a lot of work on that property, because at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, heavy equipment's running in on Sunday morning, Saturday morning. He worked all day long, and I can't blame him for that. But that's just what's going to happen. We're going to have more traffic. Each couple, or each person that buys that place, if they have husband and wife both work, there's 2 more cars, so there's 8 more cars. And if they have kids, there are more cars. And the kids do not drive slow. And now am I gonna have to stop burning wood because my new neighbor doesn't like wood smoke? Am I gonna have to tie my dog up? There's all kinds of, am I gonna have to watch my grandkids closer now because there's so much more traffic? And nobody's talked to me about anything. Now, I've talked a little bit to Diane, but she's my sister.
Wait, you should know that'll never get you anywhere.
It hasn't, because she doesn't, if I ever complain, too bad. No, she does what she thinks is right, not what I think. But I haven't talked, and I've talked to Jack Daniels, he borders it, he's within 500 feet. Jane Edwards, she's within 500 feet. Charlie Garcia, she's real close. And Charlie moved out there because she wanted to be she bought the old 80 place. She wants it to be her forever home, and raise her kids. And Jane was the same way. She wants to get out of town. And the first thing that happens, she's there not a year, bam, it's developed. And I'm against it.
Okay.
And Dean Bartelt, he has never said anything to me. And he's 500 feet away too. And he's just on the other side of the mud road. And he's tried to sell that ground for several years now. So,
Okay, all right, thanks,
I
Jim.
do have one complaint though, and that's all the four-wheelers and ATVs that are running down that mud road at 10:30 at night, at 12:30 at night. You'll see that ATVs come down the road and there'll be a little 10 or 12-year-old kid driving the ATV full of other little kids. I don't know if you can do anything about that, but.
It's a safety issue problem.
And now we're gonna have more ATVs too.
All right,
Because
thanks,
city people think they should have.
thanks, Jim.
You bet.
Any other comments on this hearing? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn the hearing? Motion by Heather, second by Diane. All in favor of adjourning the hearing at 10:06 a.m., indicate by saying aye. Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any public comment this morning for other topics? Seeing none, we will move on. The first resolution is an EMS resolution approving wage increases for the following, and been informed that Life Perry is no longer with the EMS, so we'll scratch her name from that. That being the case, can I have a motion to approve as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have 6 EMS write-offs I'd like to consider together, if that's all right.
It's all right.
Can I have a motion to approve these 6 EMS write-offs?
So awesome.
Motion by Heather, second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is HR resolution approving Madison County ambulance personnel policy. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is an HR resolution approving an agreement between Madison County and AFSCME on behalf of the roads unit effective July 1. This was agreed to during contract meeting February maybe, sometime before winter. So can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the resolution approving VPN for county employees through July 31st of 25.
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And our next resolution is to approve VPN for Heather with the same time frame.
I'll
It's
be-
separate, she'll be abstaining.
I'll be abstaining, because you know the minutes for that too.
Okay, that being the case, can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Diane, I would second that. Any further discussion? Not all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Heather's abstaining. Motion carries. All right, next is the budget appropriations for FY '25. It's basically, it's just stating that the departments are able to spend the budgets that we approved earlier this year. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is approving changes to the rules and procedures for the Board of Supervisors meetings. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. next is the supervisor's resolution approving salary and wage adjustments for non-union and union employees in the, effective July 1 of 23. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
It was July 1 of 24.
Did I say,
You said 24.
oh, sorry, July 1 of 23.
I know what you're doing, Mr. Rivera.
I just can't read. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is approving salary and wage adjustments for non-union and union employees in the treasurer's office effective July 1 of 24. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather. Any further discussion?
Amanda, did you, are you okay? Did we double check to make sure that the resolutions at the bottom that we're approving are matched on there?
These came from
There's only 2 people in the office that it applies to right now, so they're not on that resolution.
Okay.
So this is all correct now, these wage numbers, everything.
I just want to double check, that's all.
We have a motion and a second, correct?
Yep.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is supervisor resolution approving the Madison County credit card charge account policy effective July 9 of 24. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approving to set a public hearing for an amendment to our ordinance, chapter 15 regarding solar system, energy systems. Is there a motion to set that public hearing for 9:30 on Tuesday, July 9th?
So moved.
Motion by Heather. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a resolution approving the revised ordinance 60 for general assistance. We've read that 3 times. This is the final approval. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to ask Erin, can I, on page 4, number 3, it says must reside in Madison County, period. There's no, you could live here a week and apply, or tell me what that means.
I haven't looked that up. Sometimes, if there's a corresponding code section that says resident, usually that means resident as of whenever you get your residency, but I haven't, since I didn't know what I haven't looked at it. So I guess I don't know if there's something, that is a statutory requirement that would define resident.
Okay.
My guess, without looking, is that it probably means that you reside here.
Your mailing address is here.
But again, I haven't checked it, so if you need me to look it up, I can.
So, okay.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is secondary roads resolution approving a wage adjustment for T. Brownlee effective June 18th through the end of probationary period. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is modifying the secondary roads 5-year plan because that's additional federal funding, which is a good thing. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather. Any further discussion?
Mike, how, did you have to apply for this and then they picked you?
Yes, we went through the application process.
So you have to fill out probably 4,000 pages for
Yeah,
it?
well, that's what we do.
The feds require a lot of
Yep.
people.
Yep,
Thanks,
there's a lot of
Mike.
stuff.
Thank you for doing
All right. No other discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
that.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. U, V, and W are both secondary roads wage adjustment type of situations I'd like to consider together. Can I have a motion to approve those 3 resolutions?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, second.
Second.
Second by Diane. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next 4 resolutions are regarding temporary road closures by secondary roads. I'd also like to consider those together. Is there a motion to approve?
So So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This is a treasurer's resolution approving a wage adjustment for M. Bowman, $24.50 an hour, effective September 15 of last year. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Next one's a treasurer resolution for a wage adjustment to Cape Harbor to $25.60 an hour, effective November 15 of 23. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is approving appointment of 8th Ward First Auto Deputy at $60,426.06, effective July 8th of 24. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we're down to our resolutions regarding the hearings we had earlier. First is the zoning resolution approving the final replat of Frame Minor subdivision. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is zoning resolution approving the Timber Creek Estates minor subdivision. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion on this one? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay. And the only reason I want the minutes to reflect, and and everyone knows this is my heartache, the driveways. That's the only reason I'm voting no, is because I think the driveways are disaster that what we're doing in this county. And I know I don't have a leg to stand on, but just the driveways, everywhere we're putting driveways.
Understood.
So I'm gonna say nay, but it'll pass.
All right, motion carries. We have a couple liquor licenses. One's an annual liquor license for the Madison County Livestock Repair Association. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion?
Is this temporary? No.
No, this first
Oh,
one's
for
the
the
annual,
fair,
it's the
okay.
fairgrounds.
Yes, all right, thank you.
Did I get a motion second? I did.
Yes.
You did.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one is a temporary liquor license for Back Pocket Brewing for an event at 2817 Clark Tower Road on July 23rd. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'll let you guys talk a little bit.
Diane, go ahead.
Want me to go? Our opioid task, we had a meeting scheduled and we canceled it because we've got everything done and ready. We're just waiting for applications.
And that's through August, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I am working with the DNR to get we have a building that has household toxic waste out of the landfill, and that needs to be moved over to the new site, but we have to have a pad built, a 16 by 16 cement pad, and so I'm working with the DNR, and we've written a grant, and I think we'll get that.
So you're using your new entrance, is that working?
It's okay, they've got to move some more stuff over. She's not officially open, she's not got those signs up, and they have been, the board is forced to make really big signs.
That sign? I said no winter.
Oh, that great big one is up, okay.
It's on the fence.
The great big one.
Well,
I don't know, it said on
No,
the bottom. It says
no, I had a great big one made,
Yeah.
a really big one.
Is there a reason why she's dragging her feet up?
I think they're so overwhelmed with all the money they've spent and how, and we did
That's already
have,
spent, I mean, they already spent that, so.
oh, I think they're just bleeding money. I mean, just so much to do. They've got to open that new cell, that was 2.2 million. I think they're just overwhelmed with moving them, and there's so much more
A
garbage.
lot on the plate.
So it's not officially open yet?
No, it's open.
It's open, she's taking garbage, but we haven't, I've not put it in the paper officially open because
So are they closing the other gate then, or people still going through that?
No.
they're closing it, they're going through it, but there are some things I think the board wants in place before she officially opens. I did reach out to Amy Sinclair. I had written, Iowa Code House File 280. That was in lieu of a very natural disaster that would cause environmental issues, that entities could borrow up to $5 million, no interest loan with the first being forgivable, and that passed the House. So we got the first $1 million for the landfill, no interest loan, but it didn't go to the Senate. And I called her and said, I wonder if you should resurrect that. She said, oh, I never thought of it. So they are going to take that before the governor, she said, to see if maybe, because these, I don't know how these places, she said there's a town outside of Council Bluffs, how they'll ever. So they were going to maybe push that through to see if they could borrow something to help.
So they're looking for governor backing, so then they can, because they'll have to start, because it's gonna be a new session now, so they'll have to start the whole process over, so they have to repass the House and repass the Senate.
And she said she she never thought of it, using it, and she thought maybe they would, yes, that's what they thought, they would fast track that up there.
Well, considering everything that's going on.
I think, and I think it might be, I hope it's fast tracked, because it's a good, I mean, $5 million interest, they could, and the first being forgivable, it would be a start.
So, for me, it was pretty quiet. I had a couple of internal meetings, county employees and members of the public. I do have an update regarding Board of Health. They did interview someone for the public health administrator role last Thursday. They had 3 applicants. One didn't show up for the interview.
That's kind of.
Good sign.
Good
Good sign. The other one backed out before they could schedule it, and this other one they thought would be good, but the salary was high. So we should probably have maybe have a work session to revisit that, because it may be a challenge. Right now, they have a 2080 agreement with Warren, and as far as Dr. Daly knew, it was going well, but that was intended to be a temporary fix. Not
And that's home health care, right?
home health care and for public health. So they intended to be a temporary fix, so I don't know if we want to have a work session and discuss a budget amendment or something like that, because I'm feeling they're gonna have a hard time.
That's kind of their bailiwick, so if they need to come back to us, they can come back to us, but it's not our position.
Right, but I wanted to bring it to your attention, because they may be coming back to us if they can't hire someone. They may ask for a budget amendment.
Did they consider that as creating not do that as maybe the part-time?
Well, that's what they applied for. What they did is they wanted to do a part-time home healthcare aide supervisor and a part-time public health administrator, or
combine
one
them.
full-time doing both as an RN. But, they're having trouble with that,
Yeah.
so.
Isn't Susan kind of doing?
She's doing, well, now that they have, I'll have to talk to her, but now that they have 24, and I'm hoping she's not. So she's still there doing the paperwork, so she's the person that's present, so I would imagine she's doing more than originally expected. But they did give her a pay increase, because she's basically doing the work of a public health administrator, so they actually increased her pay on an interim basis until we can decide as a board whether to agree to more funds, or if the Board of Health can figure it out and hire somebody.
Yeah, I have Board of Health get back to us on that.
Okay, I'll let you know.
I had a aging resources meeting and a HERDA meeting. I think you've already heard of it. Aging resources, they're kind of the next phase of this mental health realignment. So not really sure how that's gonna work. So now if you're looking at, there's 4 different proposed mental health regions. The original one was Dallas, Polk, Jasper, Warren, six counties. But now there's some thought that, well, maybe they should mirror the aging Association for Aging regions, which would expand that out and would add, basically they have the same ones, but it would add Boone and Polk into the mix for this region. So stay tuned on that. That's supposed to be hammered out by the 1st of August. And then the RFPs will come out for who's gonna administer those.
Are we gonna have this done by budget time?
You should know where it's, doesn't affect us because it's all state funded. But, how that's gonna fall out should be determined by then. And then like CACS is intending to apply to be the, like basically essentially manager for that region, but I've not seen a map where we remain in that region, so Madison County is gonna be shifting in with Polton, more likely than not, and who else is in there, I don't know.
Does that mean we're gonna lose our local presence?
Shouldn't affect that, but
But
how
it
it gets
means
operated, I
it's, so
don't.
does it mean that if I live, I don't know, in Peru, and I'm having a mental health issue, do I have to drive to Dallas? Or is there going to be
No,
some?
there'll still be stuff, service here, but
County just
it
wants
won't
to
be
keep-
quite as big of a, I don't know what that looks like. I kinda like the one where Boone and Story get in there, so it's not quite as big a fish, but it's not gonna be for us to decide, so I'll just report back to that one place.
Is it becoming, is your feeling though that having us, the counties on the board is kind of really not impactful to your decisions?
Well, I think that's changing drastically since counties aren't funding it. So the state's funding it, and they've already kind of taken that where that board used to be essentially all supervisors from those counties, because it was our county funds were going up there, and now there's, can't be a majority supervisors, so there's providers in there and whatnot, which probably makes more sense. I mean, a provider knows more about mental health than I do. So it's changing. I think it's probably for the better, because before there was like, oh, that's not mental health, this is behavioral health, and this, you know, the substance abuse is here, but the mental health is here. Well, we all know they're codependent.
But still, when you get rid of your local supervisors on the board, they know what their county needs. Hope doesn't know what we need. Do you feel that this is a push to be making everything so regional that we?
Well, it was regional, but it's trying to, you had 3 different organizations. You had mental health, behavioral health, and aging resources, all operating on a regional basis, but all doing separate things that were kind of sort of interrelated. So they're trying to bring those under the same umbrella. And I think the intent is good. Us being kind of down the southern tip of our region means we're gonna get shifted. But do people in Madison County go to Ames for service? They're more likely to go to Des Moines for service, you know?
But if we're really in crisis, it's,
Yeah, no, we need to have prices available locally as well. Anyway, stay tuned on that. Anyone else have any other reports? Chip, you've got the tree bid, I think we've all seen that before. It's in your budget to do it, I guess you probably want us to nod our head before
well, I
they're cutting
added
down
something.
trees.
Did you look at the north tree, right across from the North Side Cafe? It sits right by the sidewalk. It is in really bad shape. What was
He
his?
hasn't got a number back to me, but I'd like your permission to move forward, at least have a seriously trim back.
Yeah, it's in bad shape. I don't want it to fall on cars and it's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go.
All right. New business, adding conflict of interest language to the review agenda section.
I sit on a board that, right at the beginning, like in Heather's case, right under the agenda, you just simply state, I have a conflict of interest with Kate, that's all.
Mhm.
And they just say it right at the beginning of the meeting and it's noted, and I think it's a great idea. And they just state it right at the beginning.
Rather than at when the
Yeah.
agenda item comes up.
Because in their cases, because they deal with so much banking, right away before anything is discussed, the banker will say, I have a conflict of interest because I'm handling this, he sits on the board. So they state it right at the beginning and then they refrain from any.
We have a lot of that in CICS, we have to sign a conflict of interest statement each year,
We do
because
too.
the certain thing with that is that there's so many different boards that some of us sit on CICS, Aging Resources, and HERDA, for example. Well, they all have contracts with CICS, so it comes time to approve that. Anyone that's on those boards would abstain from it, so. Yeah, I mean, I think we know.
I just thought it was something, we could just quickly add, and we just say, no, I don't, then the chair says, does anyone have a conflict? And they simply state no, and then it's all, it was a good idea.
No, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
You okay
okay.
with that, Erin?
Yeah, and you can do it when you're running through the agenda, just, I'm not voting on that one.
They just put it as a
You
statement.
could just do review agenda / conflict of interest.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
All right. Policy for salary resolutions, what's that about?
So because of the, I think I got this one, because of the kerfluffle we had regarding the treasurer's office, I'm wondering that we want to make sure that if any changes are made from resolutions that are submitted by department heads or elected officials, that we make sure we get buy-in and approval, and it's not changed last minute. And if it happens to be necessary, we don't have approval, then we should be tabling it. We should.
I think it, I don't know, we need a separate policy, but it should be, I mean, whoever it is should be working with HR on the, I mean, it should work in tandem.
Yeah, it's.
That's just common sense.
Just work together, make sure it's right.
All right, 24 priorities. When's Crane showing up?
The crane for the,
I was talking for the dentals and
The
stuff.
dentals for the courthouse.
he has not, I don't have a date, do you?
They're supposed to be here June first.
They were supposed to be here first, and they were supposed to get those shrubs out. Now they might as well wait till fall.
And now it's,
What
now
about
it's
the-
dry enough.
Yeah, and I was trying, what about the railings?
He said he was looking at, he told me he'd already looked at them, and we were supposed to have a wait list done. He hasn't done it. I could
You
call
looked at
him.
them because they're done, or you looked at them and they're waiting to be done? Because I still see spots on them, so.
I've been told that all this was supposed to be done right around June 1st,
Yeah.
because I wanted
July
it
1st.
done.
Can you reach out to
I will
Perkins? We
reach,
probably
I
need
reach
to-
out about every week.
Well, I don't doubt that you do.
I will keep reaching.
I want a report from him sooner rather than later.
I can meet you there. Okay, I'll do.
Comp plan revision, you got your date set?
No, because I'm waiting for your feedback.
Oh,
I
we
gave you
gave
my
it to you.
feedback.
No, you said, I gave it to you, and then you said you hadn't had a chance, our last meeting, you hadn't had a chance to review it yet.
Oh,
and
well, I put them on your desk
Gave it to you.
weeks ago. I didn't
No,
have
this
any
is
comments after you sent out those maps. You're waiting on comments from
At
them.
our June 11th meeting, you said that you had, because I sent it to you the night before, which I understood, and you said you hadn't had a chance to review it, and give me the comments, and I haven't did.
Okay, I did review it, I didn't have any comments.
Okay, all right, so.
I do have a comment.
Okay.
I think it's maybe like 50 pages too long. I mean, I think there's so much,
Well,
like,
the appendix adds to it, and we don't have to have the appendix, and I'm okay removing it, but
take out
the
some of
task
it.
force, the committee thought it was valuable that the public knows all the work that went into it.
And
I'm
the reality of it is,
ambivalent.
that's not a usable.
Right, I'm ambivalent, so if you guys want to remove it, I can.
And I also think there's a really lot about population. With that is so ever-changing, I would probably be careful how much I put that, because then you'll be outdated every year.
Well, I think he put the dates in there, because our next census isn't until 2030.
Yeah, I thought that was maybe too much, and I think there's a lot of maps and all. But it sounds
Some of those maps are better than others. Some
Some
of them
are,
are like
some
Keep
are.
in
basements and no
mind, though,
basements.
Keep in mind, that's gonna be valuable to the zoning commission and the board of adjustment. When they have to make decisions, they're gonna be referring to that. So those are the folks that are referring to that more in Ryan than we necessarily.
People
Is that a
probably-
fair assessment?
Talking about what portion of that?
The clump maps and all those other maps for,
Yeah, I mean, it can be used.
Is that going to the board of adjustment and the zoning commission, so they can give feedback on what they're really doing?
I wanted to get from the supervisors, and this could be something that you guys, we could maybe talk about, but what we wanted to do is we wanted to do 3 input sessions, not public hearings, but input sessions like we did beginning Aaron a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where we had a meeting in St. Charles, in Earlham, and in Winterset, where people they reviewed our current comprehensive plan, gave feedback on the changes they wanted. Now we want to revisit that on this draft, give feedback, changes that they wanted, and then either set a public hearing for approval, or you're saying it sounds like we need to go to zoning.
I'm just saying if
We
it
have
hasn't
that-
been run past the boards that are gonna use it,
Okay.
then that would
So you want it to go to the boards first and then to the public?
I haven't, I'm not recommending any certain process, I'm just saying if you're stating that they will use these maps, I think it's probably important to get
Okay.
their feedback and their information. Because I think there's a lot in there that they might not use, so you don't want to get that.
Yeah, it should go.
So we did have members of the board of adjustment and zoning in the committee.
Yeah, however that is arranged, whether they are coming to the public meeting.
Well, and then you got 3 of them in 3 different locations,
Yeah.
so you can make sure to reach out to those folks at those meetings.
And let them know that these are the public
I think so.
applications to get.
Don't see a reason we can't.
So you guys are
Address that.
doing it that route rather than emailing it?
Then
I
you
mean, I
got-
can email it to them, but.
But then you can email it to them, but then you've also got, they've got opportunities, they have 3 different dates, 3 different locations, they can weigh in and things.
And maybe let's chat about it, because we need to make sure we're complying with open meetings, if they're all gonna be
Ah,
the
good
same
point.
one, like, we need to make sure that's all.
But no more than 2 of these meetings.
I think there's ways we can arrange it, so.
Okay, all right. So, so what I'll do then is I'll send your comments back to the consultant, have him clean it up. Do you guys want him to review the appendix?
I think it's all right, but the reality is somebody using it probably isn't going to refer to it, it's extra pages, but it's,
Okay.
I would make sure all of the pictures are Madison County, because they're not.
I know, that's on my list, so I was just kind of waiting for you, so I must have misunderstood what you said. Okay, so, I'm not restricted anymore because I had to cancel my trip, so my goal is to have those public input sessions, because I want to get a chance to get in the paper, so people can come.
knock them out. Ordinance review and update. All right. If there's nothing else, I have a motion to adjourn.
So.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.